On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
Walking down the street and seeing my work. And it's not just going to disappear. It'll be there for my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids.
That's cool.
Everything, right?
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolfe, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. I'm Chaz Wolfe, Gathering the Kings podcast. Got Stephen Riley on the King stage today. Man, that was fun to say. Dude, welcome.
Right.
Glad you're here.
Thank you, man.
It was like that Riley that got me. I almost felt like a boxer announcer there for a second.
Roar.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, tell us what kind of business that you have here.
I run a concrete construction business. The difference between us, though, a lot of companies you call these days, they focus on one job, right? Foundations, footings, or slabs, exterior, interior. We don't hold to one aspect. We do everything. If we can't do it, we have connections that can get it done for you.
Yeah, so all things concrete.
All things concrete.
I love it, man. And we were checking out your logo before we hit the record button here. You got this awesome, like golden silhouette of a 4-leaf clover. It looks premium, man. I love it. All right, dude. So I want to know your story. We're going to jump into how you got started and all that fun stuff. But before we do, I want to know what makes you tick. Like, you've been doing this thing and you're still doing this thing. And I want to know why.
Honestly, man, I had a dream when I was a kid. Not a lot of people get to live out their dreams. Most people growing up, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a veterinarian. I honestly, man, I want to do what I'm doing right now. I want to do the concrete. So it was a no-brainer for me. I had family that worked in construction and everything. I got it in the door. I got grandfathered in a sense. And yeah, I seen the money. That was it. It was dollar signs, which kind of sounds stupid to some people, but if you think about it, man, anything, no matter how the economy is going, there's concrete to be done. Roads, construction, houses, residential, commercial, industrial, there's always something, right? So it's honestly a no-brainer.
Yeah, I love the simplicity of that. And it's so interesting too, the way that you position that, because if I ask a guy who's a firefighter or an astronaut, like, why do you do this? And he goes, oh man, I've been wanting to be an astronaut since I was a kid. And people go, oh, that's awesome. But to the general public, you hear, oh, I've always wanted to be a concrete guy.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a second. That doesn't make sense, but it's true. And for you, it's your lifelong deal. I'm curious to know the layer deeper underneath that. Obviously, there's money. Obviously, it's recession proof, all of that. But what makes you tick as an individual? What are you pressing so hard into life? You've got a successful business, man. Like you haven't accidentally got into this, at least at this level. What's on the inside? What's really happening?
Honestly, man, it's simple for me, man. I found my niche, whatever. I can never say that word.
They say it all kinds of ways.
I was good at it. Some of the stuff in it, it wasn't even like the money in the recession. It was the creativity for me.
Okay, there he is.
I know I said I want to be a concrete guy, but like our art's always been something that fascinated me, because most people think of art and it's pictures, drawings, stuff like that. And it's not. Business itself's an art, right? You got to go out about it. Way. Music, right? It's always been an art, but it's expanding more. Photos, photography, there's art. What we're doing right now, there's an art to this, there's science to it. And yeah, it's simple. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. That answer was exactly what.
Up in the morning and walking down the street and seeing my work. And it's not just gonna disappear. It'll be there for my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids.
That's cool.
Everything, right? So it's nice.
And you attach that legacy thought of it being around forever, and art, it's the great Mona Lisa or all the art pieces that we all know about. That's what you're doing, man. You're creating art. And then on top of that, concrete lasts for a long time, like you said. So
it does.
I love that perspective. I think that relates with some folks out there because even just the perspective of art or being creative, you're right. It can be done in business. It can be done here on a podcast. There's a creative flow to it for sure. I'm a creative thinker myself, but for you with art, like you can tell it's an expression. It's you find a certain flow in the actual beauty of creating the product.
Yes.
I love that. I think that relates to a lot of not only entrepreneurs, but tradesmen who find love and joy in the beauty of what they're actually creating. Something that I've always thought the same thing about business, right? Like I haven't built a home. I guess I mean, I've paid someone to build a home, but I haven't done it with my hands. I don't know how to do that. But what I know how to build are businesses, teams. And so I have the same satisfaction of the beauty of it, but it's just in a different light. So.
Yeah. And like, it's the innovations too. There's always something new. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say that coming from a concrete space. Like you would think most people are going to go, it's just concrete. What are you talking about? Innovation, right? Talk about that for a second. I want to,
for example, like CNCs. We have a video on there. It looks like a stepping stone.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? As the picture turns, Mary Monroe pops out. So there's the art behind the concrete. It's literally a concrete slab, about 2 feet by 2 feet, roughly.
Okay.
And to the average person, it looks like a piece of gray work. And then as you get into the look, it comes right out. But like CNCs, right? That we wouldn't be able to do that without CNC technology. So laser cutting and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then even like I said, most people think concrete and it's like the residential sidewalks or their basement or stuff like that. Precast, that's a whole different ball game of concrete, right? So that's your big commercial buildings, right? They actually build those hundreds of miles away, piece by piece, ship them out, put it together. But there's like the mixes, for example. Like this is probably boring for some people, but there's 0 slumps to 700 slumps. There's different applications for every type of concrete you use. Wow. Even the steel side of concrete, we use a lot of steel, for reinforcement. They started to come out with fiberglass instead. So cost efficiency, everything like that, which we'll probably get into here a little later. But everything changes every day. Like literally every day I wake up, go online, make a phone call, something's changed in the industry. So
yeah, I love it.
It's always evolving.
Yeah. Yeah. What I love about what you're saying, of course, there's always innovation, but the fact that you get fired up about it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. My kids think I'm crazy, but I get stupid excited over concrete stuff. So we go vacation, I'm going to the plant.
Yeah. There's always the different perspective for sure. Tell me, you gave a little bit of the story of how you got grafted in or grandfathered in, as you say.
Yeah.
Tell us about the like getting started in your own business, especially if you had family. Was it with them at first and now you're doing your own thing, or was it handed down? Tell us how you got started.
I do owe a lot to my father, but I'll get into that in a second here. My motivation to start literally came overnight. I woke up one day, I looked at my partner that I was with for 4 years, we had kids and everything, and literally was like, hey, I'm quitting my job today. Right? Why? I'm like, I don't like taking orders. That was the other thing, right? I don't want to work for McDonald's or anything like that, right? I'm not meant to take orders. So I literally woke up one day. I didn't honestly even have the finances at the time, right? I literally started with nothing and was like, screw it. Quit my job, went to the registry, set up a proprietorship. And I started up a company, ran that for a while, failed, tried again, failed. And third time round, here we are, kicking ass. So
it's awesome. I want to talk about some of those failures for sure early on, especially since you said you've been through the round a couple of times. Why do you think, and I'm going to go a couple layers deep with this, but what were the biggest contributing factors, let's say it like that, to the first two failures before your current success?
Lack of knowledge.
Okay.
I refused to listen to what I was being pointed towards, which I said I don't take orders. Don't always listen to what everybody has to say. Right. I actually had some people that set me up for failure. Do some studying of any kind. It doesn't have to be in your industry or anything specific. Just do some studying of business in general, such as your credit. A lot of people don't realize your personal credit at the start affects your company, right? So you start out with terrible credit, you're gonna have a terrible company at the start. And just budgeting, big thing. Learn your budgeting, learn your costs. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money. You might get the jobs done, but you're not going nowhere.
Tell me a moment in time that's in your brain as you say that you're thinking of a specific situation that where the money ran you rather than you running the money. I want to know what happened.
It was actually everybody hates this word, but the C word, COVID. Just before all that happened, we started getting price increases. And like I said, study something business, study some finance of any kind. And I didn't mark up my margins enough in the simple terms.
Yeah.
I didn't account for the extra costs, the fuel, the time, wages, stuff like that, right? People don't think it's all connected, but it is. Depending on the economy, that's going to determine what you're paying out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. So simple, but huge.
So simple. I'm a pretty simple guy. So
the finance piece can catch up with you for sure, especially if you're not paying attention to the dollars. It's hard usually for a business owner to do that, just because the very thing that got them started, I don't want to take orders, I'm gonna jump off the cliff, I'm a risk taker, all of those qualities don't normally lead to let me track every last detail and make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So I hear what you're saying.
When you're doing it yourself, it becomes overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
You wear literally all the hats your first 3 years of business, right? So
that's right.
You may think you can afford to hire this guy, but it might bite you in the ass later down the road. So take your time, do some studying, be prepared for them sleepless nights, just buckle down.
What would you say? Because you obviously brought up a pretty key point here where for the first period of time, year, 2, 3, sometimes more, the owner, whether either they have to or they choose to wear all the hats, I don't actually give them away, but that's where they are right now. Maybe it's someone listening and they're new, maybe they're not new, but they're in that place of overwhelm, too many hats. And they're hearing you say to be careful about the expenses because they can bite you. But underneath that, you took risks and you took chances. And so how would you caveat? Like, you got to take risks, you got to hire people, you got to make certain moves. But while you're doing that, pay attention to the finances, because the other is scarcity. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to run into the issue. So I'm just going to not. And then I stay small, I stay overwhelmed, so forth and so on. So what would you say to the person who's in that limbo of, okay, he's telling me to be careful, but I'm supposed to take risks at the same time? Like, well, give some backdrop to that.
Take smart risks, okay? Even if you know you're going to fail at something, like, for example, I've taken on jobs over the years where I'm not going to lie, I knew I was not outfitted for the jobs. But the difference is, I may not have got the job done fully myself or whatever, but it actually allowed me to outsource some networking there. And it actually showed the dedication to the contractor that I was working for on the project that, hey, this guy was actually serious. He may be small, he may not be set up, but at least he had the connections and the motivation to actually get the job done and fit the budget. So you just go ahead first. Don't be scared.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Go ahead first.
That high dive and just go. Don't look.
Yeah. Yeah. And then when you hit the water, you realize I maybe should look this next time.
Yeah. Maybe I should have took a lesson or two, but you just gave yourself a lesson, right? So
yeah, it's both and, that's for sure. And it really is. There's this caveat here where some people lean towards have your ducks in order and have it all calculated out, know your margins, know your numbers. And then on the other side of it, it's risk. Just do it. You figure it out. Say yes, figure out the rest later. And it really is both in business. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Like, you can't actually base your business model or your process off anybody else's at all, right? There's always going to be, you may follow 2 or 3 same steps, but then it's going to start branching off into all these different areas, and you're going to be 1,000 miles from where that guy's going, but still on the same track.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I love that. I'm gonna have to use that for the guys inside my mastermind, because we're all in different industries, sharing a lot of the same stuff, but sometimes it's only a piece or two. Sometimes you only need that one little fix,
just a little foot, just a little nudge. That's all you need.
That's right. It's good. Okay, so tell me about a bad decision that I guess you told me about your failure. So let me start with a good decision. You gave me the struggle of the first couple of years, or why the failure. So tell me why this round it worked, or tell me what a decision that you've made that's been good.
Starting the business, man. Again, honest to God, going 3 times, because like I said, I learned from all my mistakes there. Even after the failures, right? I still had the connections to the contractors, to certain clients, and they seen that, hey, this guy's back up. He's still here. See what we can do with. Made some professional friendships, you could call. I strongly advise staying at a business with friends. But yeah, I got those connections, and it helped me out. So when I was back in business, I was literally back in business. So Yeah. Best
Pick it.
decision of my life was failing in a sense.
Hey, kings and queens, Chaz Wolfe. I want to talk to you about something that's super important to me. We put a lot of time and effort, we meaning myself and my team, into this podcast, into the content that goes out every single day. And if you have been getting any sort of value or insight from this, we want it to be able to reach other business owners too. So we would love if you would like, comment, share, leave a review, post, share again, all of the things on social media, on all the different platforms, or even on the podcast mediums of Apple and Spotify. We would love to be able to get our content into more hands, more entrepreneurs, so they can grow their business as quick as possible. Together, we are building a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who are committed to growing their businesses to new heights. So let's do this. Let's help each other. Let's help each other grow.
Yeah. I think once you have that perspective, you're not afraid to fail, right? You just kind of know that it's part of it.
Yeah. Failure is another form of success, man.
It's good. What?
Succeed.
That's right. That's right. So since you've quickly moved us into the bad decision, I want to know, like, give me a specific thing where you're like, dang it, I should not have done that.
Partnership. I don't get into business with friends, family. I know it works for some people. In my case, I was in business with a friend of mine that had mutual companies for multiple years, started together, watched each other ride. We got together, did a partnership. Turned out the guy wasn't paying what he should have been paying to people. We got caught up a whole whack of money. I won't say a number, but it was pretty substantial. And I almost took a big hit on that. I lost a couple contracts over it. I did lose my equipment because they were actually in his name. He ran the equipment side, I ran the construction. But yeah, that was the worst decision of my life, was getting in business with that, because it literally, I worked all these years to get where I was at that point. I had a wicked name, like pretty much where I'm now. I didn't even have to advertise at one point. People were calling us, and it tarnished it. It put me back pretty much to square one, and I had to make up for it.
Yeah.
I got out free and clear. Like, it didn't affect me too much, but it was the professional reputation and relationship that it cost me.
Yeah. Which is huge, right?
Yeah. So not a lot of people realize it, but it makes a big impact.
How did you go about rebuilding that? Obviously, like you're saying, such an important part of who you are as an individual, like your personal brand, and how that associates to business, your word, your integrity, all of that. How did you go about rebuilding that?
I pretty much brought in complete transparency with our company. So now the way we operate is anyone literally can come up, okay, we need to see your books, we need to see this, any receipts, we show everything. Right, everything is completely transparent. We have no hidden costs, no hidden fees, nothing like that. Everything now, instead of just doing it up ourselves, getting it certified at the registries and everything like that, we actually pay a law firm to represent us and take care of all that side. So it cost us quite a bit, but it worked out for us.
Yeah, the stamp.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show who you actually are. Right, like you're gonna have to be ignorant sometimes. You're gonna have to be polite sometimes, but you gotta know when to play each card.
Yeah. I think vulnerability, for the most part, I guess I'd say almost the whole, I can't think of any circumstance where it's bitten me long term. It's bitten me a little bit in the short term, sharing too much. But I think in the long term, it was what was supposed to happen anyway, and it actually worked out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So
I think that vulnerability really it's a new currency inside of business, inside of team building, leading people, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say now is like your decision-making process? Meaning, like, you got a decision that comes across your desk. You've obviously made some good ones, some bad ones in the past. Is there a discipline that you follow? Anything like that?
This is going to sound pretty terrible, but not entirely.
Not the first time I've heard it.
Dive in head first. We do weigh pros and cons, right? Like, certain projects obviously are out of our reach or something, like, for example. But yeah, you got to weigh out the pros and cons. I honestly didn't get into business for money. And a lot of people, this is one piece of advice I give, a lot of people think that, hey, this guy's got a business, he's rich, right? Oh, he's wearing a nice suit, he's got a nice watch, he's got it going on. Don't get into business if you're out to make money. Plain and simple. If you're out just to make the money, you're not going to go anywhere. But yeah, you got to weigh the pros and cons. Even if there is more cons than the pros on some jobs, we'll still take it, just so I myself can learn from my mistakes. as well as our employees and our guys or our contractors, anybody that works with us or along us, we can all have a learning experience of some sort. So
Sure. Got it.
you can't always have the good. You got to have the
Yeah.
bad with the good.
I'm glad I dug out the art piece from you at the beginning, because when we started this thing, it was dollar signs and money. And to hear you say it's not about the money, I knew that it wasn't, right? And I'm glad you brought us to the
first 2 tries for me was the money.
There
right.
you go.
I'm like, I got kids, I got this, I'm tired of this. I seen my old, well, originally what got the thought going in my head, I think I was about 16, 15, 16. And I was working for my buddy's stepdad, and he pretty much put me in charge of the crews at that point, right? I've been doing it 17 years. A lot of people don't believe me, but I was 13 working with dad. I'm 30 now, 17 years, do the math. I seen his checks, I seen his books, right? So I'm like, hey, this guy's cutting these guys a $270,000 check, and I'm getting $1,500 for doing all the work, right? So I'm like,
right.
Screw that, we're going into business, right? So I jumped into business, all I thought about was money, bad idea. And then now I just realized, hey, like, we're out here to provide a service. Our industry, we get a lot of bad talk and bad reputations. I don't know exactly why, but we're just hated on. So I actually started this business now, just pretty much providing quality products at affordable costs, man. Like I said, we don't even hide any hidden costs or anything. So we have our markups, but they're not drastic like the guys down the road. So I got into business for freedom, but not financial freedom. I can choose to work 4 days of a month, really, if I want to, and we're still good, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna come at you speed round questions, a little different angle here. If you had to dwindle everything in your business down to one trackable metric, what would that be?
It would get cross. It would be my sales matched with my marketing. We do a lot of advertising, a lot of marketing. I literally, anywhere we go, we're dropping cards where we're in shirts, we're putting logos up, we're putting banners, we're doing sponsorships, we're doing everything, right? So that would pretty much be what we're spending on the marketing. And I would encourage anybody to do this as well. Track what you're spending on your marketing, track what you're spending on your sales, right?
Yeah.
Don't even worry about your costs or anything before, just literally look at what you're spending on your marketing, look at what you're making on your sales, right? You don't have to break it down, anything like that. Just literally compare the two. So don't be
And for
afraid.
you, that gives you the math equation to know if you're getting the jobs in from the marketing and the sales process, that the pricing on the back end is good.
Exactly, right? Like, for example, I spent $750 in a week or something like that on some marketing and everything like that. That actually landed us a $250,000 job, rough ballpark. And we wound up subbing that job out, which I took 10% of really. So I did next to nothing, paid a couple bucks and made thousands.
Down the road you go.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay. What book would you recommend that a 6-figure business owner read?
None.
Okay.
I'm not a big reader. I've never been a big reader, but it's like I said, you can't follow anybody else's business plans. You can pay all these guys for the coaching, like Grant Cardone, 10-time crap. And it might get you there, might not. It's taking a risk. It's a good risk, right? Reading the books. But honestly, I haven't read nothing. I can honestly say I haven't really read much on business plans or anything like that.
Where do you get your fuel? Because you talked about research, you talked about knowledge, you talked about gaining from this perspective.
My connections, my networking. I literally put myself in every possible position we can to learn anything we can from anyone. I don't want to read a book. I want to see firsthand how it's working for the guy.
Yeah. So just your learning style is firsthand.
Yeah. Hands-on kind of deal.
Yeah. I think that the stuff that you're learning in that way or through a relationship or whatever is going to be you're learning the same things, obviously, because success is principles. You picked it up from another guy, a different guy picked it up from a book or from another guy who wrote a book. So I don't hate on the fact that you haven't read anything, or that's not a problem. If you know how you learn, I think that's more important information to know than going and trying to force yourself to read a book. Maybe it's Audible, maybe it's podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, go
anything.
figure.
Like, I do a lot of podcast talk and stuff, right? So that's honestly, I can say I actually learned lots of where I am now because of podcasts like this.
Yeah.
So
there you go. I love it's a transition. It's a transition of education. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Books will never go away, but man, there's lots of other ways to get educated these days as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
got one last question here for you, Stephen.
yeah.
If you lost it all, which I guess for a third time, what would you do? Being that you've done it so differently this time, if you lost it this time, what would you do?
Do it again.
Just like that. Fourth time.
Yep. No problems. No matter what. I've seen companies that have been around 30, 40 years, multi-millions, like huge contracts, they've gone under, right? It happens to everybody. You can't forecast it. You can't predict it. There's nothing you can do about it except live and learn, right? And if you did well enough the first round or the last round, fourth, fifth, whatever it is for you, you should still be able to pick your feet back up and get going where you left off. You should be able to have those connections still in some form to get you somewhere, right? And it's like I tell everybody, put yourself in those awkward positions. If you know there's a business meeting going on for a city tender and you're not at that level yet, go put yourself in there. Go sit in that meeting. You may not know what they're talking about, but guess what? You're going to leave an impact on that. Right. Yeah. So when you show up, when you grow up, you get big, they're going to know, hey, this guy means business. This guy's already been here. He knows what's going on. Any lectures, anything you can get to, even if you don't belong there, get in there.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable in that suit, whatever, get in there, get it done. Right. Drop your cards off anywhere you can, do any kind of advertising you can. It doesn't have to be big commercials, anything like that. I've been doing this 17 years. I've had this company about 5 years now, and we're just starting to get the exposure, TV and the internet and stuff like this, right? So it takes time. You just got to live and learn, man.
Good
You're
stuff.
not going to get any just crawling into a hole.
That is the other option.
Yeah. So you can either keep going with what makes you happy. Yeah, it may stress you out, but it's what you want, right?
Yeah. Great stuff, man. How can someone find you, Stephen? How can they connect with you and continue the conversation?
We have our social media. We're on Facebook, ShamRoc Concrete Services. We're on TikTok, shamroc.concrete. We have a YouTube channel that we just started up, ShamRoc Concrete, obviously. And then we have a webpage as well, shamroc.ca, which has all of our information on there, as well as links to all of our suppliers.
That's great, man. I appreciate your time today. Obviously, you've given us a perspective that comes from a level of success that you've gotten, and you've been there. You've been around the mountain a couple of times, and we appreciate those experiences that you've been able to share with us today. We wish you nothing but success and blessing in your family and your business.
Sounds good, man. Just one more thing, our YouTube channel that we have there now, we're going to be doing guest lectures, guest talks on everything in the industry. So any inside information that homeowners or general contractors are looking for, we're going to be discussing.
Nice. Yeah. So definitely we'll put the YouTube channel in the show notes below, and that way they can check it out.
Perfect, man.
Thanks for being here, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.